Needle top moxa can be very, very difficult for a few reasons, and it often leads to people wanting to make pre-made moxa rolls. However, making needle top moxa is extremely easy, as Trevor has just discovered, and so we're just going to go through how to make the needle top moxa rolls in this video, so stay tuned. You're going to want to watch every day. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about traditional Japanese medicine, you're going to want to check out my free quiz. It's in the description box below. It'll lead you to one of 3 videos that will teach you all about what you need to learn in your upcoming TGM journey. All right, so let's get into it. This is Trevor. Trevor is a member of ShinKyu University and is currently a student at the local acupuncture school here in Colorado. He is about to graduate, which I'm very happy about. Very happy about. And today Trevor was observing in my clinic, which is something I allow all of my ShinKyu University students to do if they're in the area of my clinic, and ask me a few questions about needle top moxa, right?
Yeah, I was having some trouble when I would make needle top moxa and it would burn. At the end of the burn, the ashes were falling off, and there was one where I had almost burned somebody. My hand had caught it, but I didn't like the risk. And watching Maya do needle top moxa, she never, like, it never falls. It always burns really perfectly. So I was wondering what I was doing wrong today and working on that with her.
So when thinking about needle top moxa, one of the first things that I asked when Trevor told me about this problem was, okay, can you show me the problem? And he immediately went and grabbed my darker moxa. And so you can see there are 2 different types of moxa that you use for non-half grain direct moxa. This is made for ShinKyu, so it's going to be something that's going to be a lot rougher, a lot less refined moxa. It's going to give off a lot more smoke. You can see that the color is quite dark. Now, this moxa is actually quite yellow. It's got a nice bright color to it, less fibers to it. And this moxa is actually made for needle top moxa. And so I'm going to have Trevor here demonstrate the difference between utilizing our ShinKyu, which is an indirect moxa type, and our Kyutoshin type, or our needle top moxa type.
So one of the first things that Maya pointed out to me is my hands are just naturally really sweaty. So she introduced me to just putting powder and washing them before you do it to get the oils off and make sure your hands are dry, because when I was doing it, I was getting a bunch of chunky pieces falling off as I was rolling, and that indicates that your hands are sweaty. And before, I was using the darker moxa, as you can see, and rolling it, and even now you can see a little bit of the chunks falling off. And I would get my needle top moxa ball, and as like it doesn't feel quite as dense, it's still falling apart a little bit. I have a bunch of chunks on my hands that you can see. Just doesn't roll as nicely. This one feels a little better than earlier today because I've been practicing, but even still, I wouldn't have confidence that this one's going to burn correctly. And then with the gold moxa, I noticed immediately that it was sticking better and having more density.
And then this one's not gold. This is the needle top moxa.
Our needle top moxa, with the actual needle top moxa, which is lighter in color. It had more density and it sticks together much easier, and I don't have any of the chunks coming off as I'm rolling it. I also wasn't applying enough pressure before, so they weren't coming out very dense. That feels pretty good. So you can see it came out more dense. It felt easier to roll, and I would be much more confident burning. Like even holding this one, it's starting to fall apart, whereas this one feels more sticky and more dense, like it's going to stay together. You want me to burn both of them?
Yeah.
So we'll start with the one that I'm not so confident about. You go in the center, and even just putting it on the needle, I can feel it starting to break apart, which doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me.
I think especially with needle top moxa, you want to make sure that you're very confident that it's not going to fall apart, right? Because if it falls apart, if that needle top moxa falls apart, that's going to be a very large burn for your client. And doing something as simple as making sure your hands are clean, using a little bit of powder or like talc powder or something like that, can really change how your moxa burns. And so, what we're going to have Trevor do, he's going to light one of the moxa cones for the needle top moxa. You're going to kind of see the difference in how it burns, and how it hopefully doesn't fall apart still, because you can still utilize this really low quality moxa to make needle top moxa. It's just not as ideal, unfortunately. Um, it it has so many more particles, which is what Trevor was mentioning. And when you roll it, unfortunately, those particles just kind of come apart in your hands and get caught on your skin, especially if you have oily skin or wetter skin. So it's not that you can't use this for needle top, but it's going to have a lot more smoke, and it's just not going to have as much dexterity to it. And so right now he actually burned the lowest, heaviest side of the moxa cone first, which is perfect. But you can actually see as it starts to burn that this side, this corner actually in particular, is not burning as well. And so what you could do, Trevor, is just relight this one little edge on this side too, especially. Yeah, that lighter's starting to die a little bit. There you go. And then what we can do is with our heat start to control how that moxa burns. And we really want to make sure that our moxa burns from the bottom up, not from side to side, not from top down. So if you think about that, if something's burning, it's going to get lighter as it burns. And so we want the bottom to be lighter than the top. We don't want the top to be light and the bottom to be very heavy. That what that creates is more downward pressure for that moxa to fall down the needle, which is not ideal, right? Again, we've kind of corrected how you roll already, so I'm not super worried about this falling off by this point. It definitely still can. Right. Right, yeah. So if needle top moxa is the easiest and perhaps the most dangerous form of moxa to do on your client, because it's a big flaming ball of moxa on top of a needle, right? So we want to make sure that we're being very careful about how it's made, how it's placed, and make sure that we're really watching it. Because if something burns somebody, honestly, it's usually the needle top moxa or it's your half grain practice, because the little half grain cones, if you're not careful, can be quite warm. But at this point, it stopped smoking. It's now reaching its peak heat. We can be fairly confident at this point that the glue that's down been created by it kind of burning now, it's not actual glue, right, but it's sticking together as it burns. We can be pretty confident now that it's not going to fall apart. Saying that, though, there are a little bit of little pieces of moxa that did fall onto my needle cushion here, right, which we don't want to happen for our client ever. And we can be really confident that now we're okay, and there was more smoke that was given. So with that, we're going to very quickly take this off, even though it's still hot. Carefully take it off. Good. Straight into the bowl. Perfect. And now I'd like you to place your higher quality, what is actually created for needle top moxa ball, on top. One other thing that Trevor didn't mention is we also corrected the size of his moxa ball in relation. And when you have that ball, the handle is going to be very hot. So one of the things that you can do now, because it's so hot, you either want to hold down here to place, or you're going to want to take your ball apart, right? And then make sure that it goes on 3/4 of the way, 3/4 of the way up. So then the problem with doing this is, for most people, it makes you very unconfident about it, right? Because the shape changes. And so if that makes you unconfident, then you can, of course, re-roll your ball and then place it again. Try to hold it down here rather than on the handle, because that handle will be quite hot. You're totally okay reusing a needle to do 2 or 3 needle top moxa balls on top of the same needle. Saying that, for most humans, around 2 needle top moxa balls on top of the needle will probably be enough. Make sure your ashtray is nearby just in case. There you go. It will probably be enough to tonify them. So we never want to leave our Moxa ball, whether it's pre-made or we have made it, we never want to leave it on so long that our client feels like it's too hot for them, because then anything that's too hot is a dispersive technique. Anything that's nice and warm, right, is our tonifying technique. And this is the definition of tonifying, so we want to be very careful about that. Right? So you can see all right away, less smoke than when we were using our more our lower quality of Moxa, and it's burning a little bit more evenly, right?
I have a lot more
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah, definitely more confidence, and then also um, it it's going to burn at a lower temperature as well, so it's not going to get nearly as hot as this ball using the lower quality of Moxa, which is really nice because again, there's less chance of it becoming a dispersive technique when we want it to be tonifying. So I would love to know from those of you who are watching, if you do needle top moxa in your practice, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear about that. Okay, so we're going to wait until this moxa continues to burn all the way until the end. And then we're going to wait all the way until it's completely burned out. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic back to you. I want you to tell me when you feel and understand that it's completely burned out.
I would also say, like, with this one, I didn't feel like I had to hover and micromanage, whereas the other one, I still feel like I have to hover and micromanage just because of the way it burns.
Yeah.
This one I can see already is much more even. It burned a lot smoother. It looks like it's not just going to fall apart, which was what I was kind of getting when I was doing it before.
I mean, and number one, right, is that I want you to go into practice both in the student clinic and then postgraduate. I want you to have a lot of confidence in your technique so you can focus on the client in front of you instead of worrying about the technique.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make you distracted and you're not going to be able to have as efficient, as effective treatments, right? So the confidence really does lead to that efficiency and efficacy as well.
And in student clinic, they teach us to only do one ball of mox at a time, but when you have only like 30 minutes of time to do the needles and do the mox and everything, you run out really quickly. Whereas when I've watched Maya and other Japanese senseis do it, they'll do like 6 at a time or multiple at a time, and they have no worry that it's going to fall. And I would like to also get to that point just to save time, be more efficient. I would say now it's completely burned out. There's no smoke. I don't see any orange in the center.
Amazing. Yeah, that's correct. And I would say once you get to the point of feeling really confident with your ball, you feel really confident with your ball, you feel really confident that nothing is going to fall off, then maybe do 2 at once. And honestly, I don't ever feel confident doing more than 2 at once because I literally can't be in 2 places at once. So if I ever multitask, it's to that number. So that's kind of where I recommend is only go to a place where you feel like you can really watch and keep control of the situation just in case.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we're going to make sure our area is nice and clean after you take your needle out. Remember that that needle is going to be quite warm to the touch, so please be gentle with your fingers.
So at the bottom?
Yeah, so you're going to want to hold the shaft a little bit more. Make sure to make your oshige around the tool. Good. And be really gentle with your fingers with that handle because it's quite hot. Good. Excellent. And then you can just put it in the tray there for now. Amazing. And then just make sure our pseudo client there is nice and clean. We're all done. Great. Do you have any other questions about needle top moxa?
When would you apply needle top moxa? What is your signs that you should use it versus ShinKyu or half grain?
So really good question. Needle top moxa we want to do whenever we want to do a very tonifying technique. So if you want to remember the adage that I repeat to you all the time, right? Slow, deep, and few is a tonifying technique for your needle technique. So insertion and retention is the culmination of tonifying. And retaining that needle for the length of that needle top moxa makes it a very tonifying technique. And on top of that, we have a warming needle, right? We're warming the needle, the shaft, and the area around. All of those are tonifying techniques. So if we're going to use a needle top technique, we want to be very tonifying at that location and very solid that we're going to do tonification there. The other thing that, just to repeat to you, always make sure that you're never doing it in a place where you cannot needle deeply, right? So we never want to do needle top moxa on the lungs. We never want to do it in any place that is very shallow in the tissue. Like, for example, spleen 3 would be very uncomfortable for someone to do needle top moxa at. You could do needle top moxa, though, however, at spleen 6. I have seen it done at kidney 1, probably not my first suggestion because it would be a very sensitive place to do it. I have seen it done in places like bladder 2, which is also a kind of a variation of bladder 2, which is also a very lovely place to do it, but also a place that I would not recommend someone watching this video to do, or just straight out of school, because it's a very dangerous place on the face, right? We don't want to ever
Crash in the eye.
Oh gosh, yeah, that would be bad, right? Um, Needle top moxa, again, is a very easy technique to do, very easy to fix little things, right? If you are having issues with your needle top moxa, I would love to hear about it. If you want to put it in the comments or reach out to me, I'd love to have a conversation. It's not a hard technique to accomplish, which is why it's kind of silly to use the pre-made rolls, in my opinion, because it's so quick and easy to make it with this. We go over that in ShinKyu quite a bit, and it's not super hard to make them. It's more so having the mentorship to understand where and how and when is important.
I feel like with the pre-made rolls, when I've used them, they burn too hot and they're too compact.
Yeah.
And that makes me not feel safe using them as often because it's less control that I have and it's harder to pull it off without really burning myself.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with you. I think I have very little confidence in anything pre-made because I haven't made it. And I have more confidence in, I've selected the grade of mux I want to use. I've selected how I made it. I understand the whole process. And honestly, it's more expensive to buy something pre-made than it is to just make it yourself. So I 100% agree with you. I think they are too hot. They're too densely packed, and they use a really low quality of moxa as well, which I'm not a super huge fan of. So yeah, I agree with all of that. Yeah, cool. Anything else?
No, thank you, Maya Sensei.
Of course. Thank you everyone for watching this quick tutorial on ShinKyu. Again, we didn't go over like how to make it and all the little things. If you're interested in that, then you're going to want to sign up for ShinKyu University. There's a link to check out the platform in the description box below. You can also definitely reach out to me. We would love to have you and help to continue your journey on this amazing traditional Japanese medicine path. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, keep practicing. Bye guys. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about ShinKyu, you're going to want to check this video out right over here.